Good day, my dear postgraduate students. I hope you are all enjoying the glide on the slide. So, this was the slide given to you as a homework. Incidental finding in the left arm of a 19-year-old boy. See, the history might not be much in detail, but then the slide is exactly focused. That is why diagnosis doesn't matter. The matter behind the diagnosis really matters. Anyway, what we are seeing is there are long tongues of bone because I am able to see the mature osteocyte inside, and then there is some kind of a material that is being formed. It is not having the classical eosinophilic matrix of a lamellar bone. So it has got a bluish tinge as well. Next, there is a lot of this fibrous tissue around it. May or may not be muscle, smooth muscle. And inflammation is classically absent. Courtesy web pathology for this picture. This is a still better one, wherein I am finding a connective tissue and then there is a loose connective tissue over here. There are spicules of lamellar bone. I am finding the osteocytes. Maybe here and there osteoblast might be present. Almost a dense reactive fibroblastic tissue. On an X-ray, so this is what the radiologist or the orthopedician would have seen. There is a well circumscribed lesion which is having a marked radio opacity in one region and the other region appears a little faint. Initially, there is a lot of vasculature around the lesion, but later on that fades and it gives rise to the appearance of a bony tissue. The diagnosis is myositis ossificans. Grossly, it is rarely beyond 5 centimeters in diameter. Always, these are an average values given by the text. There can be something in excess, something minimal. Gritty, solid, grayish white when removed. Similar to a solid bone, it is nodular and gritty or hard in consistency. Usually occurs in younger individuals. Trauma may be present, that too only in 50% of the cases. The others, it occurs anew. And radiologically, you are able to find an opaque mass. The differential diagnosis or a confusion that should be sorted out will be an extraskeletal osteosarcoma. Please be careful with it, extraskeletal osteosarcoma. It is associated with the USP6 gene. Thanks to Science Direct and Ackerman for the references in this. Coming to the histological picture, we are more bothered about the histological picture. Put the last line first, zoning phenomenon. There are 3 zones to be concentrated upon. 1, a cellular stroma. 2, reactive new bone, trabeculae with osteoid. And finally, I find that there is a mature lamellar. Let me read this completely now. There is a cellular stroma, plump, spindle-shaped, myofibroblastic cells. Always when in doubt, you put them together. Oval nuclei, eosinophilic nucleoli may be present. There can be myxoid or a collagenous ground substance. Typical mitosis is occasional. There is a reactive new bone formation. New bone formation you people would have seen. in any of the ossifications or on a healing of a fracture, it is seen. Trabeculae with osteoid appear to arise from the spindle cells. That is where the catch is. It is not the osteoblast that is maturing or laying down the bone, but it is a fibroblast which is laying the stone. Immature foci of woven bone. Osteoblastic rimming can be present, and then there is a mature lamellar bone. That is why you get what is called a zonal phenomenon. Look at this one, very classical. I am finding these bundles of probably collagen or skeletal muscle here and there, and there is a loose fibroblastic tissue, there is a proliferation. There is a cellular center, and then these are something like osteocytes. There is a rimming with the osteoblast, and this is neither bone nor chondroid matrix to me. So it is a kind of new bone that is being laid down. Gradually, it is becoming more eosinophilic, and I might be able to get a mature lamellar bone later on. So these are the three zones that we should remember. And incidentally, the term myositis ossificans is a misnomer because there is no inflammation. Look at the picture. And secondly, the muscle may or may not be involved. Hence, Ackerman says that this term is more of a misnomer. It is a reactive condition. There are two forms, circumscripta and progressive. Circumscripta means it is limited. Progressive, it can progress. Maybe something like a keloid. It can be traumatic or idiopathic. And the common muscles that are involved, this can be given in the history, be careful with it. Deltoid, quadriceps femoris, gluteal region, flexor muscles of the upper arm. It can be autosomal dominant due to overexpression of the bone morphogenetic protein 4, BMP4. The treatment is you will have to treat the trauma, the ischemia, and the inflammation. If at all it is there initially. Immobilization. And anti-inflammatory drugs have been given, though there is not much of inflammation. Adrenocorticotropin or the steroids. And it is said that the disease is self-limiting. If small, leave it alone. This is again a very beautiful picture. I am able to see the immature bone over here and the mature trabecular bone, and within which I am finding a highly cellular stroma that is over here. And this again, it is obviously a fibromuscular tissue that is over here, within which there is a bone difficult to cross or cut, which will be gritty. So these are areas, something similar to what we see in dystrophic calcification. And these red areas are probably again zones of musculoconnective tissue. Thanks to Dr. Raquel Baron and webpathology.com. In a 9-year-old child from the elbow, clinical and radiological presentation, and this is one source from which the swelling in the anterior wall is made of. So it is again radio opaque, the bone is clearly away from it. So it is not in continuity with the bone. So this is the radiological picture where there is a circumscribed lesion that has been pointed out. It can be mistaken for an osteosarcoma. And one of the warnings is myositis ossificans by itself can lead to osteosarcoma. It is considered to be a precursor. Radiologically, it can be considered to be soft tissue calcification. Another differential diagnosis we should have in mind will be juxtacortical osteosarcoma. So extraskeletal osteosarcoma, juxtacortical osteosarcoma. The progressive osseous heteroplasia can be because of GNAS1 gene. There is a peripheral shell of organized bone that is present and a central cellular area. 3 zones. And the cells are similar to the myofibroblast by electron microscope. Look at the 3 bones that are being formed. Fencer's bone in brachialis, dancer's bone in soleus, rider's bone in adductor longus. A nice reference from Science Direct. And there's a fantastic radiological picture, nothing to do with the bone, I find that there is an irregular mass of radio-opaque tissue, well demarcated, a clear-cut diagnosis of myositis ossificans. And we'll have to see what are all the zones, what is the microscopy, what is the gross, and the complications, differential diagnosis, etc. The definition and the sites. Let us glide to the next slide. So this is the history of the next slide. A very fantastic picture by the Japanese Society of Pathology. This is the reference and this is their symbol. It is not at all my own, and it has been courtesy for the academic purpose. Section resected from a specimen of a 38-year-old male with hypertension. So this is the academic history. Maybe it is different, and I would like you people to go back for your references. Thank you.